Hi, my name is Victor Owens, and I'm a graduate dietetics student at Eastern Illinois University. I'm here today to talk to you about eating healthy while on a budget. Now, the first thing you want to do is sit down and figure out just how much money you have for the month for food. Once you do that, then divide that by 4, and this will tell you how much money you have for the week. Once you know how much money you have for the week, you want to make sure that you plan your meal based on the food guide recommendations. Okay, now we know how much money we have for the week. We based our menu on the food guide pyramid recommendations. So we're ready to go shopping. Not quite so fast. We want to go and get a newspaper and look through the flyers and pick out the coupons based on our menu. Those coupons that fit what we're going to be purchasing are the coupons that we want to get and apply to our menu. Other coupons we won't really need. So now we have our menu. Now we based it on the recommendations as far as the food guide pyramid, so we make sure we meet all the recommendations of nutrition. We're ready to go to the grocery store. Not quite again. Make sure everybody that's going to the grocery store is full. Make sure everybody eats. Your wife, your husband, or your kids are full. You don't want to go to the grocery store on an empty stomach because this will defeat our purpose. Now we're all ready. Let's go to the grocery store. We get to the grocery store of your choice. First thing you want to do is shop the perimeter of the grocery store, the outer side of the grocery store. That's where you're going to get your produce, your dairy, and your meats. And also, this will allow you to avoid the middle of the grocery store where all the junk food and everything is. And we want to avoid that. Now, you also want to pay close attention to unit price. Unit price is the price per item cost per ounce. So if you're in a dilemma between a big bottle of 64-ounce ketchup and a small bottle, just look at the unit price. You can find it on the shelf of most items. The unit price will let you know that, okay, the big bottle of ketchup costs 32 cents an ounce, where the little bottle is 8 cents an ounce. So that's the better deal. You just buy 2 or 3 of the little bottles. At the same time, while paying attention to unit price, you also want to consider generic items. A lot of people don't really care for generic items, and so it's basically about preference. Me, for example, I enjoy flavored rice, so I buy a lot of flavored rice. Here recently, I just found out one of my favorite flavored rices is actually $2.14 a box, where the generic brand of flavored rice is 78 cents. And I've tried the generic and compared it to the name brand, and I prefer the generic. So like I say, that's a preference. So at least give it a consideration. So now that you've considered generic, you know how to check the unit price, let's go back to produce. Now, produce can be very tricky. So when you're shopping for your produce, one of the things you want to avoid is buying single items like one apple or one onion or one potato. Always buy these things in bagfuls. Buy a bag of apples, bag of grapefruits, bag of potatoes, bag of onions. If you buy them by the bag full, you'll get your money's worth, and you won't be back to the store later on in the week because you need more potatoes or more apples. So, also, along with produce, you want to consider fresh vegetables. Fresh vegetables, when they're in season, are great. You can think about it. You have farmers markets in this area and everything, so fresh vegetables in seasons will not cost you a lot. But fresh vegetables out of season may be very pricey. So then you consider frozen vegetables. Frozen vegetables are picked at their peak, and they're flash frozen to hold all the nutrients. And when vegetables are out of season, frozen vegetables can be pretty reasonable. So you definitely want to consider the frozen vegetables when buying fresh vegetables are out of season. Now, still on vegetables, remember we want to eat healthy. So when you think about canned vegetables, yeah, they can be very cheap, but they can be high in sodium. So you really have to consider, if you're going to buy canned vegetables, try to get canned vegetables that are low in sodium. All right, before we move off to the vegetables and to my favorite, the meats, I want to also talk to you about cabbage, pre-packaged cabbage, lettuce, or carrots. Yeah, they're convenient to buy them pre-packaged and shredded up and already cut up for you and everything. But you got to consider that you get less for your money. They cost more and you're going to get less. You buy the whole head of cabbage or the whole head of lettuce and shred it up yourself. If you like the convenience of the package and everything, cut it up and put it in a baggie in your refrigerator. It'll give you the same effect. All right, let's move on to my favorite, which is the meats. Oh yes, the meats. What you want to avoid there are marinated meats, skinless, boneless meats, and already seasoned meats. Buy your chicken and skin it and season it yourself. You'll save yourself money. When buying beef, get 90% lean beef versus 95% lean beef, because 90% beef, 90% lean beef, you can fry it up yourself and then drain the excess fat, and you'll save a little bit there. Now also, when you're cooking for your family and you cook big pots of chili or spaghetti or stews, and say you cook a large pot of chili and you have a lot left, then what you want to do is bag and freeze the leftovers, because later on in the week or a week later or a month later, you can unthaw that chili, and say you're having hot dogs for lunch. You can put it over the chili, put the leftover chili over the hot dogs, and you'll have chili dogs. Or you can use the leftover chili over a baked potato, and you've got all of your money worth out of that chili. Now, let's move on to one of the most important things, I think, in saving money on a budget, is eating a couple meals, having a couple meals that are meatless. And this could be as simple as using beans and rice, cooking beans and rice in one meal. That's a meatless meal, and it's basically pennies per serving. You will save a lot and you still can eat nutritious. Another meatless meal would be macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese is a favorite of a lot of people, and like I said, it's a meatless meal and it's pennies per serving. So I hope these tips have helped you out a lot. And remember, we want to definitely save some of our money and save our wealth. At the same time, we don't want to decrease our health.